I can barely make it. I can barely make it after a session.
The internet didn't just get messy, it got family reunion with no security messy, one rumor, one alleged firing, and suddenly Blueface's mom, Karlissa, came flying in like she had receipts in one hand and pure rage in the other, according to the whispers lighting up timelines. Karlissa was allegedly fired as Jaidyn Alexis manager, fired as in dismissed, as in told to pack it up and exit the group chat. And if you thought Karlissa was going to respond calmly, quietly, or with grace, you clearly don't know this saga. Because when Karlissa speaks, it's never a statement, it's a storm. This wasn't a denial wrapped in PR language. This was an eruption, the kind that makes people drop their phones, rewind clips, and ask, wait, did she just say that? The internet smelled a leak. And suddenly everyone was listening like a secret had slipped out during a family argument that was never meant to go public. This drama didn't just make reality TV look fake, it made it look underfunded. Mothers' managers, baby mamas, alleged firings, power struggles. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a clash of egos, control, and narratives colliding in real time. And once Karlissa hit back, there was no pretending. This was minor. The moment the alleged firing rumor surfaced, it didn't float quietly through the internet. It stomped in, kicked over the furniture, and sat down like it owned the place. According to the whispers spreading through timelines and comment sections, Karlissa, Blueface's mom, loudest defender and ever-present voice, had supposedly been fired as Jaidyn Alexis manager, fired as in removed, as in told her services were no longer required. And the reason this rumor exploded wasn't because people believed it immediately, but because of what it implied. It suggested a power shift, a demotion, a quiet erasing of someone who has never, ever operated quietly. Karlissa's role in this entire universe has always been more than a title. Manager wasn't just a job description. It was influence, proximity, authority, and visibility wrapped into one. She's never been the type to stand in the background and smile politely. She inserts herself, speaks her mind, and makes it very clear when she believes she's earned a seat at the table. So when the idea started circulating that Jaidyn Alexis had allegedly fired her, it didn't sound like a routine business decision. It sounded like a challenge. The rumor gained traction fast because it landed on top of already existing tension. Jaidyn Alexis has been increasingly framed as independent, self-directed, and in control of her brand. The narrative around her has shifted from supportive partner to main character in her own right. Karlissa, meanwhile, has always spoken as if she was part of the infrastructure, not optional, not replaceable, and definitely not disposable. That contrast created a pressure point, and the rumor hit it perfectly. What pushed this from gossip to chaos was Karlissa's reaction. She didn't respond like someone clarifying a misunderstanding. She responded like someone insulted by the very suggestion. Her tone wasn't defensive, it was offended. And there's a big difference. Defensive energy tries to explain. Offended energy rejects the premise altogether. Karlissa spoke like someone who couldn't believe people thought she could be quietly removed from anything connected to this situation. That response told the internet everything it needed to know about how serious this was. If this had been a clean professional split, the reaction would have been calmer. If this was a simple contract change, the language would have been more measured. Instead, what people saw was raw irritation. The kind that comes when respect feels questioned. In public and in celebrity culture, public disrespect cuts deeper than private conflict. The internet immediately started asking the obvious question, how did this rumor even start? No official announcement. No paperwork leaked, no clean statement from either side, just chatter that spread fast enough to feel intentional. And once again, silence from the other side didn't help. Jaidyn Alexis didn't immediately confirm or deny the claim, which left a vacuum the internet was more than happy to fill. Karlissa's response reframed the story instantly. This wasn't about losing a job anymore. This was about authority. Being challenged, she didn't speak like someone reacting to a firing. She spoke like someone correcting a lie, and correction carries confidence. It implies you're still standing exactly where you were before the rumor tried to move you. What made the situation even more volatile was the family dynamic underneath it all. This isn't a clean-cut business relationship between two strangers. This is layered with motherhood, loyalty, history, and control. When business and family mix, boundaries don't blur, they vanish. Every decision feels emotional. Every disagreement feels personal. And when those conflicts play out publicly, they turn explosive fast. Fans pick sides almost immediately. Some argued that Karlissa's involvement had always been too heavy-handed, and that a separation made sense if Jaidyn wanted independence. Others argued that Karlissa had every right to be involved, given her long-standing presence and vocal support. The debate wasn't calm or rational. It was heated, emotional, and deeply personal for people who don't know any of these individuals personally, which is exactly how internet drama thrives. Karlissa's confidence became the focal point. She didn't ask for understanding. She didn't seek sympathy. She asserted herself, and that assertiveness sent a clear message. She did not see herself as someone who could be dismissed without a fight. Whether the rumor was true, exaggerated, or completely fabricated, her reaction made one thing clear. She wasn't going to let the narrative write her out. The more people replayed her response, the more it felt like a power move, not an explanation, but a line drawn in the sand. She wasn't clarifying a role. She was defending a position, and positions, unlike jobs, are about influence. They're about who gets heard, who gets consulted, and who gets respected. As the rumor spread, it stopped being about whether Karlissa was fired and started being about who controls the narrative. If Jaidyn Alexis was truly stepping into a more independent role, that shift threatened existing dynamics. And when dynamics shift, the people who feel displaced don't go quietly. They push back. Publicly, loudly, sometimes explosively. What made this moment especially dangerous was how believable both sides seemed to different audiences. Some viewers genuinely believed Karlissa was reacting to disrespect rather than reality. Others believed her reaction was proof that something had changed behind the scenes. That ambiguity kept the story alive, because unresolved tension is the internet's favorite ingredient. This wasn't a clean story with a clear villain. It was messy, layered, and emotionally charged. And Karlissa's reaction ensured it wouldn't be dismissed as just another rumor. By refusing to play small, she turned a whisper into a headline. The rumor officially graduated from messy whisper to full-blown spectacle. This was no longer a "did you hear" situation. This was a pick a side, plant your flag, argue with strangers until your phone dies kind of moment. The internet loves nothing more than a power struggle, especially when it involves family, money, and control. And this story delivered all three like a gift basket wrapped in chaos. Memes hit first. Because memes always hit first, Karlissa was instantly framed as the immovable object, the mom manager who refuses to be sidelined, while Jaidyn Alexis was cast as the rising boss energy figure allegedly asserting independence. Screenshots of Karlissa talking were captioned with jokes about, "You can't fire me if I hired myself." Other posts compared the situation to family businesses where nobody knows who's actually in charge, but everyone is convinced it's them. The humor landed because it felt uncomfortably familiar. Reaction channels clocked in immediately. Some creators applauded Karlissa's response, calling it strong, protective, and exactly what you'd expect from someone who feels her influence being questioned. Others criticized her tone, saying it blurred professional boundaries and made the situation messier than it needed to be. The arguments weren't subtle. They were loud, emotional, and deeply polarized. And the more people argued, the more the algorithm fed it to everyone else. Jaidyn Alexis' silence during this phase did nothing but intensify the speculation. In the attention economy, silence is never neutral. Silence gets interpreted as strategy, guilt, confidence, or chaos depending on who's watching. Fans started asking why the rumor wasn't shut down immediately if it wasn't true. Others argued that Jaidyn didn't owe anyone an explanation. That split alone kept the story alive far longer than any statement could have done. Pop culture comparisons started flying like confetti. People said this made reality TV look scripted and underwhelming. Others compared it to a family Thanksgiving dinner where business contracts somehow end up on the table next to the turkey. The jokes weren't just entertainment. They framed the narrative in a way that made it feel bigger than the people involved. This wasn't just Karlissa versus Jaidyn. This was control versus independence, old guard versus new authority. The sarcasm got sharper as the days went on. Comments joked that the job description of manager in this universe came with no start date, no end date, and unlimited opinions. Others said this was what happens when business cards and bloodlines get mixed without boundaries. The internet thrives on these takes because they feel like wisdom disguised as jokes. What really escalated things was how past moments suddenly looked different under this new lens. Old clips of Karlissa speaking confidently about decisions were replayed like evidence. Past interviews with Jaidyn about wanting control over her career were reframed as foreshadowing. The internet loves retroactive storytelling, and this situation gave it all the material it needed. Everything became a clue, even if it was never meant to be. Celebrity-adjacent figures started weighing in indirectly, not full statements, just likes, reposts, and vague captions that felt intentionally timed. A laughing emoji here, a side-eye comment there. Those small interactions fueled entire theories. Fans read meaning into everything, convinced the truth was being communicated in code, and honestly. In this ecosystem, sometimes it is the debate. Also exposed a deeper tension about women, power, and control in the industry. Some viewers argued Karlissa was being unfairly labeled as overbearing simply for being vocal. Others argued Jaidyn deserved autonomy without interference. Suddenly, this wasn't just drama. It was framed as a conversation about boundaries, respect, and who gets to make decisions when personal relationships overlap with business. Meanwhile, Karlissa didn't soften her stance. She didn't pivot to diplomacy. She maintained the same energy, reinforcing the idea that she wasn't backing down or rewriting her narrative for anyone. That consistency made her supporters double down and her critics get louder. In internet culture, nothing fuels engagement like someone refusing to apologize. The unpredictability became part of the entertainment. At any moment, people expected a live stream, a comment, or a post that would blow everything open. Every notification felt like it might be the next escalation. That anticipation kept audiences hooked, refreshing feeds like they were waiting for a season finale cliffhanger to resolve itself. By this point, the story wasn't even about whether Karlissa was fired anymore. It was about who holds power, who gets credit, and who gets written out when dynamics change. The original rumor became almost irrelevant. What mattered was the clash of identities and egos playing out in public. And while the internet laughed, argued, and speculated, something more serious was happening underneath the noise. Perceptions were hardening, lines were being drawn. And once those lines exist, even the smallest move can feel like an act of war. After the jokes cooled and the comment sections stopped refreshing every 5 seconds, the real impact of the situation started to settle in, not loudly, not dramatically, but permanently. Because internet drama always works the same way. First it entertains, then it divides, then it quietly rewrites how everyone involved is seen. And by this stage, the rumor about Karlissa being fired wasn't even the most important part anymore. The damage had already shifted into perception, and perception doesn't need proof to stick. Karlissa emerged from the chaos louder than ever, but also more clearly defined. She wasn't just Blueface's mom anymore. She wasn't just a manager figure. She became a symbol of resistance to being sidelined. Whether people agreed with her or not, they understood her position. She made it clear that she did not see herself as optional, replaceable, or removable. That clarity alone changed the dynamic. Once someone publicly asserts authority, every future interaction gets filtered through that declaration. But asserting authority publicly comes with a cost. From that moment forward, every move Karlissa made was scrutinized more aggressively. Supporters saw strength, critics saw control, neutral viewers saw volatility, and in the attention economy, being seen as volatile is a double-edged sword. It keeps you relevant, but it also makes people cautious. Allies start watching their words, associates start thinking twice, because no one wants to be the next name pulled into a headline they didn't sign up for. Jaidyn Alexis, whether intentionally or not, was pushed into a leadership spotlight she didn't ask for publicly, but couldn't escape privately. The rumor framed her as someone with the power to remove, replace, or redirect authority. And once the internet assigns you that role, it doesn't let go. Every move she made afterward was analyzed as a power play. Silence became strategy, distance became intention. Even unrelated decisions were reinterpreted as proof of independence or conflict. The absence of a clean resolution made everything heavier. No joint statement, no clear confirmation or denial that tied up the loose ends. Just a lingering ambiguity that allowed people to project their own conclusions. And ambiguity is dangerous because it invites imagination. Fans filled in the gaps with whatever version of the story aligned with their loyalty. Some believed Karlissa was unfairly disrespected. Others believed Jaidyn was finally reclaiming control. Both narratives survived simultaneously because neither was officially killed. Industry perception quietly shifted in the background. People who work behind the scenes don't comment publicly, but they pay attention. They notice instability. They notice public conflicts that blur business and family. And when those lines blur, professionals get cautious, not because drama scares them, but because unpredictability complicates deals. You don't need to be canceled to feel consequences. Sometimes opportunities just stop showing up with the same enthusiasm. The internet also began reframing past interactions with new suspicion. Old clips of Karlissa asserting involvement were replayed as examples of influence or overreach. Depending on who was watching, past statements from Jaidyn about independence were elevated into proof of a long-building fracture. The story retroactively rewrote itself, and once that happens, there's no restoring the original context. What made this fallout particularly sticky was that no one emerged as a clear winner. Karlissa didn't lose relevance, but she gained scrutiny. Jaidyn didn't lose control, but she inherited pressure. The situation didn't collapse relationships publicly, but it strained them invisibly. And invisible strain is often more damaging than open conflict because it lingers. As time passed, the outrage evolved into something quieter but more lasting. The jokes stopped being funny, the debates stopped being playful. This story became a reference point anytime authority, management, or control came up in conversation around this circle. This moment hovered in the background. It became shorthand for tension, a reminder of how quickly things can escalate when narratives clash. The most dangerous part of all of this wasn't what was said. It was what was implied. The idea that roles could change without clarity, that power could shift without acknowledgement, that family dynamics could be weaponized by public speculation. Once those ideas take hold, they don't go away easily. And that's why this story never really ended. It just moved out of the spotlight and into the foundation, waiting. Because the next disagreement, the next announcement, the next offhand comment will inevitably be filtered through this moment. The internet will remember, it always does. This wasn't just about an alleged firing. It was about control, respect, and who gets to define their role when the world is watching. Karlissa didn't just respond to a rumor. She drew a boundary in public. Jaidyn didn't just stay quiet. She allowed the narrative to test her authority. And now, every future move carries extra weight because once a power struggle goes public, it never fully resets. It just changes shape. If you made it all the way to the end, You just watched how a single rumor can turn into a full-blown power struggle without anyone ever signing a contract. On camera, this wasn't just drama for clicks. This was about control, respect, and what happens when family, business, and ego collide under a microscope that never blinks. One allegation changed how everyone involved is seen, and whether the rumor was true or exaggerated doesn't even matter anymore. The perception already did its job. Now it's your turn. Because the comment section is where the real negotiations happen. Do you think Karlissa was right to shut the narrative down aggressively? Or did her response prove that something bigger shifted behind the scenes? Was Jaidyn Alexis stepping into her own authority? Or did silence let the internet write a story she never approved? And be honest, do you think this situation is actually over? Or is this just the calm before the next explosion? If this breakdown had you locked in, smash that like button like it just tried to fire you without warning. Hit subscribe if you want non-stop deep dives into celebrity chaos, power struggles, and the stories that start as whispers but end as headlines. Turn on notifications so you never miss when the next secret slips out at the worst possible moment. This is Celeb Sync, where the drama connects, the narratives collide, and the internet never forgets. Stay tuned, stay curious, and stay ready. Because in this universe, silence is temporary, and the next scandal is always loading. Always loading.